everybody, welcome. This is A Little Bit of Lip. I am Phyllis Foundis, and thank you for joining us. I am thrilled. I'm always thrilled because I'm sitting here with Elle and I'm meeting all these incredible people. So I love what I do, particularly when there is, I'm going to say, a force of nature sitting next to me. Her name is Cheryl Craig. She's saying, really, me? Yes, you.
A force of nature? Oh my gosh, okay. I haven't heard that one yet.
Well, I'm going to say that Cheryl is an incredible gospel singer, and she has pipes, as they say.
Yes, I have pipes and lungs and all the stuff in between. But yes, I've been blessed with what I can do.
And your word for today, hashtag L is for.
Oh, what did I say? I said L is for large.
Yeah, large.
So hashtag large for me. So it can mean many things to lots of people, but yeah.
What does large mean for you though? Do you feel large in spirit? And what actually makes you feel large in spirit?
Yes, I do feel large in spirit because I think I've been kind of like blessed because, you know, I do have like a huge relationship with God and my faith and stuff. So that makes me part of like something larger than myself. So.
Have you always been so faithful?
No. No, I didn't grow up religious at all.
Really?
No.
Because I've got all these pictures of you as this beautiful little
Everybody
girl.
has little pictures of me going to church at like 3 years old and stuff and singing in the church. That is not my story. You know?
What's your story, Cheryl?
Well, my parents were raised Catholic, so it's like they didn't really go to church at all. So I didn't really have a sense of like spirituality or anything.
So we're exploding stereotypes straight away.
Very much so. Yeah. So that's why I like talking to people who are interested in a story, because it's like people perceive me or they look at me and they perceive like a stereotype, and especially if I like sing, you know, so I'm falling right into it. You know what I mean? I can't even hide, you know what I'm saying? I can't say that I'm like a you know, a scientist or anything like that.
Right.
They're like, oh, but you sing too, right? Okay.
Yeah, well, clearly, I mean, you must.
I do, and I'm proud of what I do, and I'm blessed from what I do.
What does it mean to be yourself? I mean, Cheryl Craig,
Oh my.
not the stereotypical little girl who went to you know, church every Sunday and belted out "Oh Happy Day." You didn't do that.
Which I didn't do that.
Yeah, you didn't do that.
I did not do that. Oh my gosh, didn't do that till I came here.
Really? So you didn't do any of this in the States?
I sing. My parents still to this day probably don't know how much I sing.
Wow.
So I never sang in front of them. I had no musical training. All I knew when I was little is like I kind of like singing along to the radio and stuff. So I didn't really build enough confidence until I came over here to Australia.
When did you discover that you had this gift?
I think other people discovered it in me. You know what I mean? So it's like when I came here by myself and I thought, oh look, I'm just going to take some singing lessons because I'm just like anybody, likes to sing in the car, sing in the shower. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to give it a go, and looked up a singing school in a magazine and just started going. And then the teachers and everybody around me went like, okay, well, she has something going on. So they really helped me see what was already there because I had no idea really. So then when I started like getting out there and just singing and performing, then, you know, you kind of get confidence in yourself. It's kind of like, it's kind of like the confidence and the spirit is in you, you just didn't realize it.
So other people saw the large in you. So who were some of the artists that you enjoyed singing along to? Yeah.
Well, people think I like really old gospel singers that people don't really recognize or know who they are. Dixie Hummingbirds and then people that in the Five Blind Boys of Alabama, all these old gospel groups that used to sing old Negro spirituals. And that's what I adore. There's nothing that makes me smile more than just to hear the naked voice or hear like a cappella or hear like four men singing an old gospel song.
So you were listening to all of these unbelievable gospel singers of yesteryear. Was that what inspired you to deepen your knowledge of God, do you think?
That's a good question. I didn't think about it that way. I don't think so, because it's like I think I had a sense of spirituality before I started singing and before I got into it. So it's kind of like I really didn't actually get into a cappella music and singing and gospel, I believe it or not, until I came to Australia and I met a man named Tony Backhouse, who is passionate about gospel music.
There was obviously something in the way, either lyrically or musically, in these songs that touched you
Yes.
at a deep level that not even, I don't think you can actually explain.
No, I can't explain it, you know what I mean? So you're quite right.
So it feels to me like perhaps there's a part of your soul that was connecting to this music way before you even started to believe as deeply as,
it's kind of like
as you
saying
do.
the saying that, you know, God loved you before you knew, before you loved him.
So living your life in the States versus here, what made you want to, and how old were you when you packed up and left?
I got here when I was about 23, so around about 1990.
So that's quite young.
It was. I was like,
Young to just kind of say, I'm out of here.
oh my gosh. So no, it was
Whippersnapper.
It wasn't like I went like, I'm just gonna go to Australia. So I used to work in I used to work in the medical field. So they St. Vincent's Hospital hired me to come out and work. And I have a degree in nuclear medicine. So they hired me to come out and work. So that's how I got the opportunity to come to Australia.
Right.
So then I was like, hadn't even gone on a plane before. I was just like, so I think my parents were like, well, they didn't care. But you know,
Were you a tiny little bit nervous though?
I was absolutely petrified, but I didn't think about it because, like, in my life, if I think about it for too much, I probably won't do it.
Right.
So I'm very much like, okay, baptism by fire, let's go and do it. And yeah, it's like I had the job opportunity. I went like, Australia, okay, let's go, you know. And I didn't really think about it too much, you know. And
Are you
then
glad?
Until I got here, it's like, oh my gosh, am I glad it happened?
Yeah, you're glad.
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely, because I think I found a life, you know, because I was out here in my 20s and, you know, my upbringing wasn't like very supportive. So I think I actually found a life. I found my voice, literally, because I didn't sing one bit. I was very
Wow.
suppressed, you know what I mean? So I came from a very like violent upbringing, violent family. So I think I didn't express it, but I knew I was actually going to go somewhere outside of Detroit. I didn't know where it was going to be. I didn't realize it was going to be on the other side of the world. But yeah, I actually really found my life and I found my voice. And I found like people who don't care about the color of my skin or don't care, you know, how large or how small I am. And they just accept me for me. So, and that's a rare thing because people go through their whole lives not being accepted. So,
That's
it's deep.
beautiful.
You didn't expect that, did you?
No, but I love it. I just love it.
Yeah.
I love that you're getting this large with me, though. I love it. You can
Oh,
come
thank you.
closer to me. I just
Oh,
feel so.
I don't want to squish you.
No, you don't.
I don't
You can squish me. You're not squishing me at
Oh,
all.
good.
Plus, you know, it's the body heat because I'm freezing.
Oh, good.
So, just on. Because I do want to touch on race and maybe not even just touch on it. I just finished watching When They See Us.
Oh, wow. I do want to see that.
Yeah.
Central
Ava
Park
DuVernay,
5.
correct.
Yes, indeed. Yeah,
Correct.
That would be brilliant.
It is incredibly brilliant. It's also very hard to watch. Was God a part of that story?
Yes, I think God is part of every story. You know what I mean? Even the hard ones that are hard to watch. God's love is there. God's love is in every single person that was involved in that. It's just their decisions may have like.
It's free will.
Yeah, it's absolute free will. So it's like their decisions. You can see how it affects other people, but God's in every story, and especially in the that was a sensational story.
Yes.
You know, but it's not an unusual one. It's just happened to be the one that was captured on film.
And that got the
captured on-
profile it did.
exactly. So you see all this violence against people of other races, and people think, "Oh my gosh, that's so shocking." If you speak to like a black person, it's like, that's been going on ever since I was born. It's just now people are putting it on video. Yeah.
I can't imagine what it must be like for an average Afro-American mother and father to have to sit down and have that conversation with their son about the police. When you're in a car, when you're walking down the street,
Hands up.
and we're 2019.
Yes, indeed. So it's like, well, if you're living in America, it's a different thing. Society will tell a young black man how to act in the street or how to act in society, you know? And we're really talking about people who are in like the urban areas, you know, in Chicago and Detroit, you know, just trying to live day by day.
Right.
And, you know, from my family, because I have an older brother, it's like, you know, growing up, in the 70s and 80s and stuff. So it's like you knew from a young age what to do when the police, came around.
But what does that do to you? What does that do to you on a human level? What does that do to you, to your soul, to your spirit?
That's how I've grown up. It's like if you grew up and it's like you never had any incidences with law enforcement, and it's like you had never heard your parents argue or anything like that, your experience would be a far less different thing than my experience, dealing with like, just being black, you know what I mean? And dealing with like violence and all that stuff. But it just makes you more aware of, what you need to do to survive day by day. It makes your heart a little tougher. You take a bit longer to trust people, and when you do, it's beautiful. But it's like because of like you have to have a bit of a tough skin to grow up, not being white. You know what I mean?
Right.
That could be like African American, African, anything that's different, a brown skin. I think you grow up with a little bit of toughness, a bit of resilience, a bit of your eyes being wide open.
Do you feel a certain sense of comfort and maybe a little bit more freedom now that you've moved?
Oh, it's a lot more freedom. I mean, it's still there, but you don't have that level of racism. Australians, you think you do, but you really don't. You know what I mean? It's like
we don't know what
really
racism is, right? We really don't.
You do, but it's like it's so much different because in America, from when I was there, it's like racism. It's like it's in your face. It's something that you have to deal with every day. You didn't get that loan because black people don't get that loan because black people don't live in this area. You know what I mean? Or it's almost like because it's been there from the beginning. It's just ingrained culturally. So each generation still has a little bit of that racism, us and them type thing.
Yeah.
And you know that, and that's just how it is. It's like growing up black. That's how it is. So in Australia, you don't really get a full sense of
what it's
how
like.
destructive racism can be and what it's like growing up not white.
Is there hope for race relations in the United States?
Oh, there's always hope. There's always hope. That's why, people of color have been, around and strong and, fighting for our community for generations because there's always hope. There's always strength, But I think there is hope for turning things around, a hope for a more positive outcome. Because look at what's happening now that's evolving, like let's say within the last 10 years. People who are not in the urban areas are made aware of the struggle and made aware of like what we need to do or how hard it is to basically live a life and have opportunities and, walk down the street. But there's always hope because we're a strong community, we're a strong people.
Resilient.
Very resilient.
And beautiful and creative and gifted and talented. And I saw this incredible interview the other day with Ellen Pompeo and Jada Pinkett Smith on her show, the Red Table Talk, which she has on Facebook. And Ellen Pompeo, who is married to a biracial man, encapsulated what she believes is the reason why a lot of white people in the States have this endemic fear and hatred, for want of a better word. And, no, let's actually use that word.
Yes, let's use it.
Let's actually use that word. And her take on it was one of the most articulate arguments that I've ever heard, because she said the black culture is gifted. They have such resilience. The power that you have, the talents, some of the greatest songwriters in musical history, the dancers, the actors, the performers, the musicians. The white man, insecure, looks at, and I'm like, yes, actually, yes.
So,
like instead of celebrating your culture and celebrating people of color, what are they doing instead?
They're putting down what they don't know.
And what they're frightened of, absolutely.
Know, and that is that's hitting the nail on the head. That's just kind of like, racism 101, you know what I'm saying? So it's like bigotry 101. It's like if it looks different and you don't understand it, well then you have to either hate it or eradicate it or something.
And persecute it.
Yeah, exactly. So I can totally understand that feeling. But on the flip side, I understand like a lot of people go, African American people, they're so creative, they're so musical, they're so athletic. I would like to go like, they're so smart, they're such great engineers, they're such chemists, you know what I mean? Instead of, because that's a stereotype within itself.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of black people who don't sing, who don't dance,
Yeah.
who don't act, who just live their lives and like really smart in math, you know?
I just feel like
So
I've
it's
been
kinda like,
chastised.
no, oh, I'm sorry, oh my God. No, you know, it's just being aware of
I didn't
it,
mean
you know
that.
what I'm
Yes,
saying?
but absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes, you're
so it's
absolutely
like,
right.
Because what you
Yes.
hear and what I hear is like different things.
Isn't
so
that
it's like,
interesting?
it's very, yeah, because
Isn't
I
that
hear
in-
my whole life like,
Yes,
oh, you know, black people, they
yes.
can
Oh
sing,
my
he can
God.
speak really well, or they can sing,
Oh
or
my God,
they're black, they
yes.
must be able to sing, or they must be able to do sports, or they must be able to
Yeah.
do something creative.
Yeah.
There are a lot of black people who are not creative, but they're really creative in like the sciences. They're really
Yes.
creative in like behind the scenes in
Yes.
physics and astronomy, and you know the black women that helped the space program.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't like brought up in a movie, a lot of people wouldn't even know
Wouldn't
that
know about
exists.
that.
But if she sang, everybody would know who she was. So it's kind of like, it's a different
So
stereotype.
is that because perhaps it's less threatening to have an incredibly gifted singer? She'll be celebrated over and above the brilliant mathematician who's a black woman.
Exactly, because you want to put black people in a box. So this, what you're used to seeing is like a black person who's like, you know, subservient, and then moving on to like, you know, really great singers or really great athletes and stuff, because that's the box you want to put us in.
Is that more palatable?
Yes, to the greater society. It's far more palatable to actually see, you know, someone who's like really good at sports or really good at singing or really good at dancing. Because if you see someone in your wheelhouse that's really good at physics or really good at, you know, accounting, that's more threatening. So it's like, okay, you're great, I'm going to put you in this box, you know, because I don't want to have to deal with anybody else, you know.
Well,
That's my perspective.
There have been some moments in this conversation where I've thought about things in a different way.
Oh, okay.
And it's, yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of it.
It
It's
is the
changing
beauty of this
people's
conversation,
perspectives,
absolutely.
you know what I
And
mean?
we're touching knees now.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm excited
We're
about
friends
that.
now. Okay.
We are definitely
Yeah,
friends.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
so how are you and I on L
Yeah.
going to make our own little change together?
I think we can. Oh, look at you. We can sing a song together. So
I'm not going to, well, because I can carry a tune, but only from here to there. But you can carry it all over the
I can
place.
teach you a
You
small
can teach me?
song,
Okay.
and you can learn it in
Okay.
5 seconds.
Okay.
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 So just listen to like it's.
Okay.
The words are.
Can you do it first?
Yes.
Oh, I just spat on you,
course.
sorry. Okay.
So it's God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Sing that. God, come on.
I
you
want
can
to
do it.
cry. I don't want to
No.
sing.
You can cry and sing, girl. I did it
Okay.
on 10.
Okay, right.
So it's God has smiled on me. Sing that.
God has smiled on me.
And He has set me free. Sing.
He has set me free.
And it goes, God has smiled on me. And
God has smiled on me.
He's been good to me. And
He's been good to me.
good. Put it all together. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. See, perfect. You can join my choir tomorrow.
Oh
Come
my
on.
God, I love that.
Good. So it makes you feel good, makes you feel, and take that message. And I think how change happens is how you deal with people in your world. You know what I mean? So a little song like God Has Smiled on Me, people take that feeling, and if you spread that to your world, to your partner, to the person you meet on the street, to the person you say hey on the train, that's how change happens, because you'll change your perspective and you'll change theirs. So.
It goes beyond religion though, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It just goes beyond religion, because I think religion gets in the way of lots of things. So it goes just a connection with humanity, a connection with people that, total strangers, or a connection with people in your world. That's how you change the world, is you change your little world, and that spreads to everybody else. So that's my belief. Yeah.
Well, you made my mascara run, girl. Oh my God.
But that's how I feel. That's what makes me joyous, is singing is just a gift that God has given me, and I recognize that. And instead of questioning why did he give that to me, I just use it and say thank you, and I use it as much as I can to spread whatever message it is, you know what I'm saying? So it's that's my gift to the world. I know that's what I've been put on this earth to do, is just to sing in my little world. It doesn't have to be a huge superstar. It's I use the gift that God has given me, and God has given everybody different gifts. Mm-hmm. He's giving you the gift of talking to people. He's giving other people gifts of math or science or something like that. So you use what God has given you to make, to spread God's love and to spread something good to humanity.
So we've done.
That's how I feel.
We've done something large here, though.
Oh, okay.
We really have.
Oh, good. Oh, you're
man.
great.
Look, I'm running, and where's my makeup artist? And oh my God.
No, but yeah, it's been really extraordinary, and what you do is extraordinary as well. So, we use our gifts in different ways.
Well, I think definitely, and just using the word God, and I was having a conversation about God the other day with somebody. I'll introduce you to him later. In fact, you know him.
Oh.
And we were, yes, you do. We were talking about just the word God, and how my perception is that there's so much baggage attached to that word that I don't often like to use God. So I use universe or divine intelligence, source.
So I think that's diluting I get it, and a lot of people do that, but I think the word God needs to be respected. You can't, for me personally, I don't mind using the word God, I don't mind using the word Jesus, and I don't want to change that based on where I am, because those words mean power, and those words means my truth as well. And I think, like you're saying, a lot of religion gets in the way of a relationship with God. So I don't think I am part of a religion. I think I have a relationship with God, and that goes over any rules or religion or anything like that. So I think people get stuck with I'm a Catholic, or I'm I'm Jewish or something. And me being born again, it's not really being part of a religion. It's actually just having a relationship with God and keeping that strong and building that on a daily basis. So don't dilute God, girl.
I'm not going to dilute God.
Don't dilute it. Because you're bringing value to that.
Because you know what's just happened here?
Oh.
God has spoken through you to me.
Oh, my goodness.
Something happened. I feel something happened.
Yeah. So. And you're going to speak to other people through your gifts as well.
I hope so.
So there you go.
Oh my God.
Oh,
wow.
Honey. Bless you. Oh. And that's why we were supposed to meet today.
Yes, well, it was a last-minute thing.
I know, very last minute. It's who this?
Yeah. Would you come and, you don't know me.
I'll just get back to you.
Yes.
I'm going to check the schedule.
Yeah, check my schedule. I think I'm busy, but no, I'm not.
No, but
thank you.
It's a pleasure. So it's I really enjoy, not every day someone goes I want to hear your story, because people don't share it. So I'm blessed to share what little part of my life I can.
Well, as this plane flies overhead, stories are what connects us. Stories are what connects us. Sound. But and that's what I think brings us closer, and intimacy is created in a way that in no other way other than sharing stories.
Yeah,
and being honest
exactly.
with each other.
It is just sharing your life story.
And then whether you're black, white, purple, straight, gay, large, little, makes no difference.
Child, large, makes a difference.
Well,
but, it shouldn't. But yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, it's I think it's just what it is. It's everybody has, like I said, has certain gifts, and everybody's different, So it's if everybody was the same, it'd be pretty boring.
Very boring. Let's celebrate the differences.
There you go.
Bottom line.
Big deal. Big of celebrating just differences and stuff. So it's all good.
On that large note, very large note.
Large
note from a larger than life force of nature. I was right. Yeah. Force of nature.
Well, I was right.
what I'm
That's
talking
cool.
about. I was right.
She's very intelligent. Exactly what she's talking
You have been watching a little bit of Lip with a very large talent sitting beside me, Ms. Cheryl Craig. If you have any stories that you would like to share with me, I would love to hear from you. Write to me at PO Box 713, Kensington, New South Wales, Australia. So we're going to give you Wi-Fi kisses now. We love you. Come back soon. We don't need to talk about it on camera, but I think part of her sadness was that she couldn't be herself.
So true. So it's like you don't really know how all that fame and all that stuff. It's very, I don't know if it's just something that
I'm just doing some photos.